best in radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
It's the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz, and we're brought to you by Cloud Hard Assets, the place to go for if you're looking for investment-grade diamonds, bullion, if you're looking to protect your wealth against what is shaping up to be the mother of all collapses. Well, call up Tom Cloud, a man who I personally trust. 800-247-2812. 800-247-2812. Tom, a man of integrity, person I buy bullion from. He's been in the business 38 years. Believe it or not, he started out selling diamonds, and then he got into bullion from there. And hey, what can you say about him? Southern gentleman. He'll take as much time with you on the phone as is necessary. He's into educating you first. I can't even believe the prices on stones that he gets. They're better than anything that I have ever seen. Better than what you find on 47th Street in Manhattan. Better than in Amsterdam in the diamond exchange there. Better than in Tel Aviv. You know, his average markup is just 8%. And, you know, something that I didn't know until I hooked up with Tom is that the money right now is being made in the colored stones. Colorless stones, that's yesterday's deal. Those were subject to manipulation by the cartel, by the De Beers, Rothschild cartel, you know, less so with colored stones, smaller markets, smaller stockpiles of these stones around. And if you want to learn about them, call Tom up, 800-247-2812. Check out his website. A lot of good educational info there. cloudhardassets.com. But as always, you know, when you're making purchases, particularly your first purchase of any hard asset, always talk to the people on the phone first. Don't go clicking and filling in and wiring large sums of money out there. I don't care who they are, how long they've been in business. You know, call them on the phone, whether it's Miles Franklin, whether it's Tom Cloud or anyone. I want you to call them on the phone first. Get a comfort level with the people you're dealing with before you send them thousands of dollars, which is what we're talking about here. It's what I've always done. It's what you should do, because it just makes sense in this day and age. And speaking of gold and silver, let's take a look at Kitco, see what we've got here. You know, yesterday, according to Nenner, the sell signal, the buy signal for silver was $17.50 an ounce, closed right at $17.50. You might, Kitco says silver's down 33 cents the ounce today. Silver is down $5.40 the ounce. It closed right at $12.50 the ounce. Nenner, before you go buying more gold, wants to see a close at $1,260 the ounce. Probably a good move, but he's optimistic about it for the first time in a long time. And hey, investment grade numismatic coins, Barry Stupler's the expert on that. But, you know, hey, got to make these decisions for yourself. I'm not a big numismatic fan for sure. I'm more into the bullion because I think that's what you're going to need. But again, you have to educate yourself if you're getting into anything numismatic. And I am certainly not the person to speak to on that. Hey, check out the site, financialsurvivalnetwork.com. If you haven't done it lately, we've just got so many more sources of news and information. Looking at the site right now. We're always carrying Carl Denninger's stories on there. Charles Hughes Smith, CNBC. We've got a story about Kyle Bass, who's predicting more macro volatility. King World News. Well, King World News could perhaps be the definition of the stopped clock, but hey, we will see. We carry a lot of zero hedge on there. Our buddy Craig Hemke, Turd Ferguson, we've always got him on. Dave Kranzler, Stefan Molyneux, we're always good with Stefan, and we're always looking for more people. So if you've got somebody you want us to start carrying there on financialsurvivalnetwork.com, just let us know. Good Q&A with David Schechtman. People are always fixated on confiscation. Good thing here from Gerald Salenti, our good friend, about the Ebola czar. What a scam. Hey, here's an article, 6 Signs Your Government's Too Big by Chris Campbell at Laissez-Faire Books. Jeffrey Tucker's outfit. We like Jeff a lot. The Burning Platform, but James Quinn, got to get him on here. Hey, look at that. The Day Trade Show. Good guy. Howard Gold, Market Watch. I don't usually carry Market Watch, but, when they've got something germane, Daily Reckoning, Greg Gunther. Point is, it goes on and on and on. Chuck Butler, got him. He's a regular on there. RT America, not always my favorite. I don't like state-sponsored media, regardless who's sponsoring it. Got the latest updates from Martin Armstrong. We'll be having Martin on in the next week or two. Promise. Ed Steer, you can always count on Ed Steer. Greg Hunter, we'll get him on shortly. Probably be on there as well. I mean, there's just so much. We reformatted the site a little bit. So now it's kind of the endless page, which many of you seem to like quite a bit. I personally like it. Monty Pellerin. Monty really doesn't seem to appreciate the current occupant of the White House. He's got a story I was reading this morning, President Doofus, and that was about the most positive thing he had to say about the current occupant. Yeah, like I say, we have a bias towards hard assets, but that's not all that it's about by any stretch. There's a Swiss gold referendum coming up in November, I believe. I think it's November 14th. Don't quote me on it, please. I think the powers that be will do whatever they can to defeat that. And if it means stuffing the ballot box, well, hey, that's never been done before. Certainly never in places like Chicago, right? And but we will see what happens here, because they want to back the Swiss franc with gold, and that's what the thing is all about. The referendum is to get it back, and to get backing for the Swiss franc again with the shiny yellow metal. Will they pull it off? I'm not sure. But you know what they say, where there's a will, there's a lawyer, right? Isn't that what they say? Hey, I don't know if you caught the Jeff Bell interview the other day. Jeff Bell, quintessential Republican insider. And yet, I said to him, are you a libertarian? He said no. But then we went down the list of things that he thought the government should be doing. And interestingly enough, the things that he thought the government should be doing was a very short list. And when you went down that list, it was like protect from enemies within and without, right? Courts, settle disputes peaceably among the inhabitants, maybe do some roads here and there. I don't think you could talk him into having the government deliver the mail anymore. Because, could you imagine if the government was delivering email now, what that would do? Yeah, just to get your email postman out there. I mean, wouldn't that be beautiful? But Jeff, hey, interesting guy. I think he's probably evolved over time in terms of what he thinks government should be doing. Although I think he's always been a small government guy. I really do. Got a little article there from Bill Halter. We'll get him on again as well. Hey, here's Greg Gunther, though, talking about fast food is dying. McDonald's, their revenues were down 5% in the last quarter. Can that mean that people are actually eating healthy? I don't know about this. I'm very skeptical about that. I think they're just choosing to eat unhealthy at your own home rather than going out and paying top dollar for it. So King World News is saying China's plan for $100 silver, $2,000 gold in the oil market. And, the thing about plans, I don't care who's making the plans, whether it's our inept U.S. government or the inept Chinese government, it's all going to work out badly. That's for sure. And Don Harold, so day trade show. Yeah, I think he's making a little fun of Jim Cramer. So storage wars, right, continue in Manhattan. This is where you need to read the New York Post, because if nothing else, you're going to get a great laugh about it. So the ex-model, who the city has shelled out $200K to store her hoarding hoard, Andrea Logan, possession's been locked up at taxpayer expense since 2006, since she had a debilitating stroke. All right, we all feel bad for her, but why do we have to pay to store her crap in 11 storage units full of her belongings? And the tab reached last year, like I said, $3,585 a month. And, it's just an outrage. And I mean, come on, let's just forget about it. Where do they get off? And, now that this has come out, that the government is literally wasting $14.6 million a year, now Comrade de Blasio's like, oh, we can't have this. This is out of control, and we're just not going to allow it. And, we got to pay more attention to the taxpayer's dollar, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you know how it is. And, what she said is it actually went up to as high as $5,000 a month because the city doesn't pay its bills on time, and they had all sorts of late fees. And the funniest thing would be if the city forgot to pay the bill altogether, and then you saw all of her stuff get sold on Storage Wars or Auction Hunters or Storage Hunters. There's 3 shows on television dealing with people that buy these storage lockers that are in default. And they said a peek inside the Storage Post lockers revealed towering piles of boxes, including some labeled sink clean supplies, dress up, games, toys, and puzzles. A trash bag held a bunch of children's toy swords for what Logan called the birthday party that never happened. And she insisted, Logan, who's 54, got to feel bad for her, she isn't a hoarder and wanted to give most of the stuff to charity, but she needed more space in order to organize it all. So maybe if we rented her another 11 units at taxpayer expense, she could then donate it, except that these charities are very picky and they won't just take anything. So maybe the key here is to just invest in a dumpster and have an intervention and dump this stuff. And, HRA spokesman said that storage fees cannot be paid until the client brings in the bill. So I guess she hasn't been bringing it in timely. And, de Blasio is just fit to be tied over this, and he's mad as hell, and he's just not going to take it anymore. Of course, he blames Albany lawmakers for the program's soaring costs. Like I said, reached nearly $15 million in fiscal year 2014. But he said the city is mandated to keep homeless residents' stuff in storage until they find permanent housing. He said, as you know, we're compelled by state law in that area, and I certainly have concerns because our focus is on housing people, not belongings. So I'd like to see resources go to people, not belongings, but we have to figure out how to navigate that state law. And State Senator Tony Avella said he was stunned to learn about Logan's situation there, and said, obviously, it was shocking. I had no idea we were actually paying to store people's property when they became homeless. And he is chairman of the Social Services Committee. This is the problem with big government, is that nobody knows what the hell is going on because it's so big, no one can keep track of it. But, he's fired off a letter to the city's Human Resources Administration. And somebody told the Post source that clearly there's a problem. And meanwhile, it's really the city that screwed this up, because there was a court ruling from 2010, which also exposed further abuse of the storage program by a man who had gotten approval to keep his possessions locked away, of course, at taxpayer expense, even though he'd been paying rent on a share of a Hell's Kitchen apartment for more than 7 years. He went bankrupt, and they revealed that this guy, Alain Mercier, got the benefit in March 2008, despite claiming to own less than $1,400 worth of possessions. Officials canceled his $144 a month grant for storage fees in 2009, and Mercier, who was paying his rent with a $350 enhanced shelter allowance, sued to hold on to the benefit, but a judge tossed the case in 2010 because state law didn't require that his storage bills be paid in perpetuity. And an HRA spokesman said the agency's concerned about the rates that are charged, and this is one of the reasons why we plan to develop a new process to identify which storage company and rates will be approved. Why not just get a big barrel and burn the crap? It's just outrageous, but it's reasons like this why I no longer live in that city, and it's reasons like this why taxes are so high. But that doesn't stop Comrade de Blasio from wanting to raise taxes even higher, right? So Camden, New Jersey, really became like the murder capital, the most dangerous city in the country. Worse than Detroit, if you can imagine that. And amazing things going on, though, in Camden. I think we talked about it, or at least I hope we did, about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And what they did was, and this could be Christie's biggest legacy. So they had a police force of 250. And Christie said, all right, we gotta change things here. So they dissolved the Camden City Police Force, and they created a county police force with the same budget. Okay. They hired civilians to use crime-fighting technology that they never had the staff for. They tightened alliances with federal agencies. And this started, like I said, in summer of 2012, where, it started in 2013. In 2012, they broke their record for homicides. There were 21 people murdered, I think 40 some odd homicides for the year. And in 2 years, shootings down 43% with this new police force, violent crime down 22%. And they give an example that this guy now lets his sons walk to school alone. I don't think that's ever a good idea. Another woman, Nancy Torres, abandoned plans to move to Florida. Well, where she wind up in Florida, it's probably just as dangerous. And their little league has grown to 500 players from 150 in its first season 3 years ago. And so it's been 16 months. This was as of August 31st, 2014. So now it's about 18 months. This article appeared in the Times, no less. And so, Christie basically figured this end run to just basically dump the union. And mostly they say the police has changed the culture. Desk jobs and squad cars. And the chief says that it's like a political campaign to overcome years of mistrust. Average response time, here's really interesting statistic, has gone from 60 minutes to 4.4 minutes, which is faster than most other cities around there. Number of open-air drug markets has been cut in half, and they've even got a cold case unit. You can imagine that. So, what was a failing city has really turned around. They even went 40 days without a homicide during June and July. And, the place becoming a lot safer. Now they're talking about demolishing. I think they're going to demolish 600 vacant boarded up homes, and they're just going to keep demolishing them. So, maybe there's hope for this, but point here is that, sclerotic union contracts in every city in the country. Okay. We're talking mostly in Rust Belt cities in highly unionized states cost lives because they so inflate the cost of policing and providing basic services like fire, like ambulances, that the amount of services and the quality of services that can be provided are greatly diminished. So, people are dying needlessly because the cities are not in a position to provide enough services. You could argue whether they should be privatized or not. I'm personally not in favor of privatizing police because then their services will go to the highest bidder. You could argue that they do now, suburbs, wealthy suburbs versus poor cities. But here it's something that is working. And when streets get safer, commercial activity will increase. Prove this. They've got car-mounted cameras reading plates. They're really doing a good job. Let's hope that it will continue, and that the work that they're doing will make a big difference in terms of making Camden a much safer place to live and to raise children. And let's keep our fingers crossed because you just never know what's going to happen here. It could go either way, but the Times just neglects to mention that the fact is that the power of the union being cut back, although the new police force has been unionized, but it's a reset. It's a union reset, call it that. So it's been unionized, but unionized from a much lower level and a much lower level of control that the union is actually exercising. So just something I wanted to bring to your attention. I've been trying to find crime stats for months. They finally came out, and it's pretty persuasive. More cops, they get less vacation, less sick time, less benefits, and they're allowed to be more effective and do their job, which I believe that most cops really do want to do. But the unions, just like school teachers, don't allow their members to do it. And you wind up with a situation like Camden. Maybe Governor Christie should look at doing it in Newark, Patterson, and a number of other unsafe cities in New Jersey that could really profit from a similar strategy. Certainly Newark. Let's get an Essex County police force together, double, triple the number of police, and start cleaning up Newark, because it's obvious that Newark can't get out of its own way. Anyway, that's it. Emails, send me emails, khl@kerrylutz.com, khl@kerrylutz.com. Support the show, clubfsn.com. Later this year, hoping to get some video equipment on board, set up a studio. Please help make that possible. Whatever you want to contribute, it's extremely grateful and appreciated. And thanks so much. This has been another Triple Lutz Report. Kerry Lutz signing off.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.